Cherry skin is pulped away, sticky sweetness starts to fade. Tanks let mucilage break down right, washed with water, clean and bright. PASA Coffee, sip and see clarity in every coffee seed. From Dubai, we show the way. Better coffee starts today.
PASA Coffee Podcast.
Episode 7.
Imagine you just stepped out of your building, right? And it is a blazing hot late morning here in Dubai.
Oh yeah, the sun is just beating down. You're sweating the second you step outside.
Exactly. And you want coffee, obviously, but the idea of like a really heavy, milky, syrupy drink right then, it just sounds completely overwhelming.
Right, because the climate totally changes what your palate wants. A thick beverage in that kind of heat just makes you feel sluggish.
Yeah, you definitely don't want a meal in a cup. You crave something clean, something really crisp and refreshing.
Almost tea-like, honestly.
Exactly, something that just cuts right through that humidity and wakes you up without weighing you down. And if you've ever had a cup of coffee that hit that exact spot, maybe it tasted a little citrusy or reminded you of iced lemon tea well, you were probably drinking a washed coffee.
For sure. And, getting that specific bright flavor profile, it's actually this profound journey from the farm to your cup. It really is. So welcome back to this deep dive for the PASA Coffee Beginner Series, broadcasting straight from Dubai. This is episode 7 of our deep dive series, and in episode 6, we actually looked at the natural process.
Right, which is where the fruit dries directly onto the coffee seed.
Yeah.
But today, we are exploring its opposite, the washed process, or the wet process, as some people call it.
Yeah, and our mission today is just to trace this method step by step, right from the branch to the brewer. We really want to uncover why this specific method creates such a bright, clean, elegant flavor.
So before we look at the actual washing part, we should probably remind everyone what we are physically handling here.
Right, because coffee doesn't just grow as a dry brown bean in a burlap sack.
No, not at all. It grows on a tree as a fruit, like a really vibrant cherry. And the bean that we eventually roast is actually just the seed hiding inside that fruit.
Which is still wild to think about. So when we use the term processing, we're basically just talking about the agricultural steps of removing those fruit layers, right? Exactly. And how you remove that fruit is the fundamental fork in the road for flavor.
Right, because with the natural process, like we talked about last time, you just leave the fruit wrapped around the seed while it dries in the sun.
Which lets all those heavy, jammy fruit sugars just soak right into the core of the bean. But the washed process takes the completely opposite approach.
It strips the fruit away almost immediately, right?
Yes. The goal is to clean the seed completely before any drying even begins.
And the word that just kept popping up in our sources regarding this method is clarity. Like, that is the ultimate goal.
Clarity is everything here. In specialty coffee, clarity just means the flavors aren't muddy. You take a sip, and you can confidently identify specific notes.
Like green apple or jasmine or bergamot.
Exactly. The baseline characteristics of the bean are front and center.
It makes me think of taking a squeegee to a really dirty window. Like, if a window is covered in grime, you can faintly make out the trees outside, but the view is super murky.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
Right. So the washed process is like squeegeeing the glass. It gives you this completely unobstructed, clear view of the bean's true character. But, if we strip away the fruit so early, my instinct tells me there's absolutely nowhere for a bad bean to hide.
You hit the nail on the head. The wash process is remarkably unforgiving.
Because there's no fruit flavor to mask anything.
Exactly. The fruit layer in a natural process can sometimes act as a buffer, hiding minor flaws with those loud fermenty flavors. But washed coffee demands absolute perfection.
So the farmers have to be incredibly strict about picking the cherries.
Oh yeah, they must isolate only the fully ripe, perfectly healthy cherries. Think about the chemistry of fruit juice.
Okay, yeah. If you use unripe fruit, the juice is just sour and terrible.
Right, and if you use overripe or rotting fruit, it tastes spoiled. Washed coffee amplifies the baseline quality of the cherry itself, so the starting material has to be flawless.
Okay, so let's say the farmer has this perfect batch of hand-picked cherries. What do they actually do first?
Well, the very first physical step happens fast, usually within hours of harvesting. They send the fresh cherries through a machine called a pulper.
And the pulper just takes off the outer skin and the fleshy pulp.
Yeah, it uses mechanical friction. It presses the cherries against a rotating screen, just hard enough to shear off the pulp and let the seed pop out.
It kind of sounds like gently squeezing a fresh grape, you know?
Yeah.
The seed shoots out and the skin gets left behind.
That's exactly what it looks like. But here's the catch. When the seed pops out of that pulper, it is not actually clean yet.
Right. Our sources made a big point of this. It's covered in this layer called mucilage.
Yes, mucilage.
Yeah.
And it is this highly viscous, sugary, slimy layer. It's packed with pectin.
Pectin, like the stuff they use to make fruit jam thick and gel-like.
Exactly the same stuff. It acts as a biological glue that bonds right to the inner protective shell of the bean. If you pick up a freshly pulped coffee bean, it'll literally slip right through your fingers.
Wow. Oh, but if the whole overarching goal here is absolute cleanliness, my immediate thought is, why not just power wash it? Just blast the slime away with a high-pressure hose on day one.
It seems like the logical solution, but power washing actually fails
Really? Why?
because of the chemical nature of pectin. Mucilage is basically insoluble in plain water. It's literally like glue.
Oh, so the water would just bounce right off the gel.
Exactly. Mechanical water pressure alone isn't enough to break those bonds. So to dismantle that biological glue, the farmer has to enlist the help of microbiology.
Which introduces the most delicate phase of the whole operation,
Right.
controlled decay.
Yes, fermentation. Since water doesn't work, they have to let time and microorganisms take over.
So they take these pulped, sticky beans and just dump them into lard fermentation tanks.
Right. Sometimes they use water, which is called wet fermentation, or they just rely on the moisture already in the mucilage, which is dry fermentation.
And they sit there for, what, like 12 to 48 hours?
Roughly, yeah. During those hours, naturally occurring yeast and bacteria, plus the fruit's own enzymes, just go to town. They start consuming and breaking down those complex sugars.
They are literally eating away the glue.
Exactly.
But honestly, that sounds like a terrifying level of risk. You have vats of sugary, wet beans sitting outside in a tropical climate actively fermenting.
It is incredibly risky. If the biological breakdown goes even a little bit too far, it causes severe flavor defects.
Yeah, the sources mentioned it can make the coffee taste musty, medicinal, or even like a rotten onion.
They call it the stinker bean. A single, severely over-fermented bean can taint an entire batch.
Oh, wow. So the farmer is really walking a tightrope. They need the microbes to dismantle the pectin, but they have to stop it the second the glue is gone.
Right, before the microbes start producing acetic acid, which gives you that nasty vinegar taste.
So with all the technology available today, how do they know the exact moment to pull the plug? Do they use like digital sensors?
You would think so, but the reality is wonderfully simple. It relies entirely on sensory experience.
A physical test, right?
Yeah. The farmer simply reaches deep into the fermentation tank, pulls out a handful of the wet beans, and rubs them together in their palms.
Just checking for a tactile shift. That is so cool.
It really is. If the beans still feel slippery and glide silently past one another, the glue is still intact. They need more time.
But if the microbes have done their job,
The texture changes completely, slime is gone, and the beans will actually grind against each other, creating a distinct rough friction.
like a gravelly sound.
So exactly, a highly specific friction sound. When the farmer feels that roughness and hears that sound, they know fermentation is over.
It's amazing how this pristine bag of coffee you buy relies entirely on a farmer's sense of touch. So once we have that friction sound, the glue is broken.
And water can finally do its job. This is the actual washing step.
Right, they flush clean water through the tanks, and because the microbes destroyed the bonds, the loose mucilage just rinses right off.
Leaving you with completely clean parchment coffee. Just raw seeds encased in their protective papery hulls, ready to be dried.
So they spread this clean, wet coffee out on massive patios or raised mesh beds under the sun.
And they have to rake it and turn it constantly so it dries evenly. You can't have any hidden pockets of moisture.
But I want to pause here for a second because our sources pointed out a really fascinating contradiction about this step.
You mean the environmental impact?
Yeah. It is wild that a process that creates the absolute cleanest tasting coffee in the cup can actually be incredibly dirty for the local environment.
It is a massive issue the industry is wrestling with. Traditional washing stations use immense volumes of fresh water.
And it's not just the water usage, right? It's the wastewater itself.
Exactly, because that wastewater is now carrying all the sugars, pectins, and acids that the microbes just broke down.
So if a farm just dumps that untreated water straight into a local river,
It's devastating. The organic matter feeds an explosion of bacterial growth in the river, which consumes all the oxygen and basically suffocates the aquatic ecosystem.
but obviously the solution isn't to just stop drinking washed coffee. The demand is too high.
Right, so the industry is innovating rapidly. A lot of modern farms are installing closed-loop water recycling systems or complex treatment ponds.
To neutralize the acidity before it ever touches a river. And we should definitely mention eco-pulpers too.
Oh, absolutely. Eco-pulpers are brilliant. They use highly calibrated mechanical friction to aggressively strip the mucilage away, sometimes bypassing the water-heavy fermentation entirely.
So you get that perfectly clean flavor profile, but you drastically shrink the environmental footprint. That's a huge win.
It really is.
Okay, so we stripped the cherry, fermented the mucilage, washed the seed, protected the rivers, and dried the bean. When the listener finally buys this coffee and brews it, what is the sensory payoff?
Well, because the heavy fermenty fruit material was removed so early, the final cup is going to be incredibly crisp, bright, and clean.
You often see tasting notes that read more like a tea menu, right? Like green apple, lemon zest, Earl Grey, or jasmine.
Or a very light honey-like sweetness. It is a very refined profile. And the body of the coffee, the tactile sensation of weight on your tongue, is noticeably lighter.
So if a natural coffee feels like a heavy fruit smoothie, a washed coffee feels like a clear fruit tea.
Exactly.
But I really want to zero in on the word acidity for a second, because beginners often run the other way when they hear that word.
Oh, I know. They equate acidity with sour milk or an aggressive sharpness that gives them the stomachache.
Right. It sounds like a flaw.
But in specialty coffee, good acidity does not mean bad sourness. Think of it as the sparkle or the liveliness of the beverage.
Like, adding a squeeze of fresh lemon to plain iced tea.
Yes. The plain tea is refreshing, but flat. The lemon gives it a structural zing, or think of the crisp snap of biting into a fresh green apple.
That makes total sense. Without those organic acids, the coffee would just taste muddy and lifeless.
Exactly. And the wash process is famous for highlighting that fresh, sparkling acidity.
And bringing this all back to practical application, if you are living in the UAE, a washed coffee is basically a survival tool for the climate.
It really is.
I mean, if you're commuting down Sheikh Zayed Road on a hot Tuesday morning or walking to an office in Danera or Jumeirah, a washed Colombian or Ethiopian coffee is incredibly refreshing.
It gives you the caffeine you need without the cloying, heavy sensation of a milk-based drink.
Totally. The ideal way to experience it is black, either as a V60 pour-over or served over ice. But let's do some quick troubleshooting.
Okay, let's hear it.
Say I buy a bag of washed Ethiopian beans, I make a V60 at home, and the result just tastes painfully sour and thin. What is my immediate fix?
If it's sour and thin, you are dealing with under-extraction. The sharp acidic compounds extract very quickly when water hits the grounds, but the heavier sweet compounds take more time to dissolve.
Ah, so the water flowed through too fast and I only got the sour notes.
Exactly. So to fix that, you just need to grind your coffee slightly finer.
Because that restricts the flow of water and increases the surface area, right?
Bingo. It extends the contact time. For a good baseline V60 recipe, try 15 grams of freshly ground coffee to 250 grams of filtered water.
And what sort of time frame are we looking at for the brew?
You want to aim for a total brew time of about 2 minutes and 30 seconds to maybe 3 minutes and 15 seconds. That gives it enough time to balance out.
Okay, 15 grams in, 250 grams out, aiming for roughly 3 minutes. Got it. Well, I think that covers the entire journey. But let's do a quick practical exercise for the listener.
I love this. It's the best way to train your palate.
So your challenge is to brew 1 washed coffee and 1 natural coffee side by side, black if possible.
Smell the dry grounds, taste the liquid, really compare them.
Notice how one coats your palate like a heavy juice, while the other glides like an elegant tea. See which one feels better on a really hot Dubai morning.
Your own palate is the ultimate judge, honestly.
All right, time for today's quiz. Let's see if you remember the farmer's trick.
Okay, here's the question. How does a farmer physically test if fermentation is complete?
Think about the tactile shift.
The answer is by rubbing the beans together. If that slimy feeling is gone and the beans create a distinct rough friction sound, they are ready to wash.
Nailed it. And finally, let's run through our flashcard summary.
Washed process. Skin and pulp are removed first. The sticky mucilage is broken down by fermentation. The beans are washed completely clean, then dried.
And the flavor result.
The result is usually bright acidity, high clarity, clean sweetness, floral notes, and the lighter body.
Perfect. Guys, if you are based in Dubai and want to try that side-by-side test, definitely drop by PASA Coffee in Dubai.
Yeah, or if you want to get hands-on practice with the brewing parameters we talked about, join one of their barista learning sessions. It's super helpful to physically feel out those adjustments.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps up episode 7, but make sure you join us for episode 8 because we are going to cover the honey process.
Oh, it's a fascinating method. It sits right in the middle between the natural and wash techniques.
I can't wait for that one. But before we sign off, we want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Yeah. We talked about how the wash process gives you a clean window to taste the true character of the seed. But if the exact same coffee cherry from the exact same tree can taste like heavy blueberry jam when it's processed naturally, or delicate jasmine tea when it's washed.
Does a coffee bean actually have a true flavor?
Exactly. Or is flavor just a collaboration between the seed itself and the human hands that process it?
Man, that is such a cool way to look at it. I'll be thinking about that interplay all week. Thank you guys for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you on the next one.
Cherry skin is pulped away, sticky sweetness starts to fade. Tanks let mucilage break down right, washed with water, clean and bright. PASA Coffee, sip and see clarity in every coffee seed. From Dubai, we show the way. Better coffee starts today.
PASA Coffee Podcast.
Episode 7.